What the tape does is basically lift the tendon just enough so there's no friction, and it prevents any acute inflammation from happening. Tennis players usually sustain elbow injuries throughout the season because of the multiple variables that they have to deal during the year. There's different types of surfaces, different types of heaviness of the ball, different types of stringings that they have to do, and that also puts different types of stresses on the elbow that usually create a possibility of an injury, a chronic injury that most commonly is referred to tennis elbow or lateral epicondylitis, or medial elbow pain, which is the inside of your arm, which is called golfer's elbow. So the two of those are the most common ones that we see. Once there's an injury on the elbow, is because usually the tendon doesn't have a lot of blood supply to it, those injuries tend to reoccur if there's not careful. That's when a good program, rehabilitation program, treatment program, in controlling the amount of tendons that they play becomes very important, because the tissue is very susceptible. Once it's injured at once, it's very susceptible to get injured again. Okay, so what I'm going to show you now is a tape for what we call lateral epicondylitis or tennis elbow, which is one of the most common injuries that you'll see in tennis. So what you need is a roll of Kinesio tape. Nitto brand works the best. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to cut two strips. One, if you have the pointy part of your elbow on the outside, you want to go just above that, and then basically cut a strap that it goes halfway between the elbow and the wrist. And then also make sure as you do that you round the edges so you don't get any blisters from a square end of the tape. And then the second will be a smaller roll that is going to help to kind of lift the tendon off the bone, so it reduces the stress on that. So basically what you gotta do is do a little cut that goes from the crease of your elbow in the middle just to that pointy part as well again, and then you do another cut. And it's important that you start with the longer one first. So all you do is you cut an edge without taking the tape off the white paper. You do a little cut, so you have a little open edge here. Now you take it off, and you're gonna put that piece right on top of that bone that I talked to you about. So make sure you rub it on the skin. So make sure you get the glue, it's activated with heat, so make sure you rub it a few times, and then you're gonna take the white part off the tape, and then you're gonna basically turn your wrist down so you can get a stretch on that muscle and the tendon, and you're just gonna apply that tape on top of that. And if you put enough tension, it should get all the way down to your wrist. So the reason you cut it halfway is because you're gonna put some tension or stretch on the tape. And again, you wanna make sure you rub it. Okay, that is part one. Part two is a small one. And again, you're gonna go just a couple fingers below that pointy part of the elbow. So his elbow pointy part is here, is a couple fingers. So now we're gonna do this tape across. And for this one, you do the same, you cut an edge. You're gonna place it down at that spot, 2 fingers below the bone. Rub it to get the glue activated. So the rehab depends on the severity of it. Sometimes when there is an acute inflammation, the symptoms can become a lot better in a matter of 1 week. If the symptoms have been going on for long and the tendon has some degenerative changes on it, the rehab can take up to 3 to 6 months. So depending on the stage at what the player is at in the season and the tissue damage that is there, will depend the amount of length of the rehab. So there's some exercises that you can do to minimize the risk of one, re-injury, the elbow is already injured, or developing an injury to it. And the most common ones just involve a regular exercise band, and there's also a couple of stretches that you can do to kind of maintain that tissue length, that it doesn't become degenerative or problematic later.